Story 1. Before the gym, no girl talked to me. Now I get hit on by men. Yay. Story 2. I have been depressed and started going to the gym 5 times per week. I am now somewhat more muscular, but I am still depressed. Story 3. An unusual side effect is that your face becomes 25% more handsome. Story 4. My wife and gay men give me lots of compliments. In other words, I won. Story 5. People started treating me better in many ways. Friends noticed me and tried to be like me. I developed a magnetic aura I had never felt before. Customer service representatives tried to help me as well. It was life-changing. If you are thinking about it, just start working out. It requires discipline and dedication, but it is worth the time you invest. Story 6. This is about my buddy, not me. He went from almost never working out to becoming very muscular. He even corrected his posture, which added a few centimeters to his height. He is still the same nerdy guy he always was, but now he has sex frequently. Update. He went from 179 centimeters to 182 centimeters and from about 70 kilograms to about 90 kilograms. Story 7. I was 165 pounds when I graduated high school in 2015. I was a scrawny black kid. I joined the army, and after a couple of years I reached 225 pounds and was in the best shape of my life. I became more confident. People generally did not mess with me, and women seemed to appreciate the muscle. I'm down to 210 now. People often compliment me. Overall, it's fantastic. I feel 100% better about myself. Story 8. Former skinny guy here turned gym bro. I am 5 feet 10 inches, currently weighing 175 pounds, down from 185 pounds. I previously weighed around 130 to 140 pounds for most of my life. If you are asking whether I attract more women, I will be honest. I had a fair amount of attention from women when I was skinny, and I probably got hit on or received a few more looks back then. I think women may find me a bit more intimidating now, or I might simply be less attractive, which is a real possibility. It has made me more confident, definitely. I am not the most confident person, but I am more confident than before. Other than that, the only real difference is my mother telling me I have muscle, and people I have not seen in a few years saying, wow, you got big. Just do not make it your whole personality like I did. Story 9. I no longer get sand kicked in my face while my hot girlfriend runs off with the beach bully. Story 10. At 5 feet 9 inches, I went from about 125 pounds for most of my life to about 155 pounds at my peak. The bulk of the change took place over about a year and a half. I saw significant changes in my career. There were other confounding factors, but I do not believe it was a coincidence that I went from a well-respected individual contributor to managing other managers shortly thereafter. People treated me completely differently in person, and that confidence compounded. Also, slightly overdressing for a casual workplace helped. Story 11. I feel good about myself. I like what I see in the mirror. I have a hobby or pursuit I am passionate about and can put a lot of effort into. I am strong, which is helpful when I do something athletic or physical. I earn men's respect more easily. I get more attention from women. Many people online say getting jacked will not help with women, but it does. It is just not quite as straightforward as muscles leading directly to sex. Story 12. People start being weirdly honest with you as if you were not the same person. My grandparents told me they always thought I was gay before I got in shape. I am not sure how the two are related, but whatever. Only one of them is still alive, so who is laughing now, Grandma? Story 13. Mine is not exactly what you asked, but I thought it would be helpful to share anyway. I have been super skinny, overweight, and also toned and in very good shape at different times. When I was super skinny, I felt like an alien. I wasn't unhealthy, but I did not feel good about myself. When I was overweight, I had absolutely no self-esteem or confidence, felt terrible about myself, and did not want to leave the house. I actually ate even more because of comfort eating and inactivity, which made it worse. It was not fun. People judged me, took me less seriously, and I could not do as much physically. When I was in great shape and toned, I had a lot of confidence. I felt great, was more motivated and active, was treated better, and people took me seriously. I even enjoyed clothes shopping because things looked good on me. I received genuine compliments. It was by far the best period of my life. In short, being fit with some definition is great. Being skinny kind of sucked, though I was relatively healthy. Being overweight I hated. It was the worst. Unfortunately, after a long period in and out of hospital and dealing with mental health issues, I am back to being overweight. I am painfully slowly losing the weight again, and it is awful. None of my new clothes fit. I have lost my confidence, and I can no longer do nearly as much as I used to. If I stick with it, I should be back to my good weight in about 3 to 4 months. Wish me luck. Story 14. I am skinny and I have never set foot in a gym. The comments here have motivated me to join one. Story 15. I sweat much more than I used to and am not as good at handling the summer heat. Story 16. I went from being stick-thin as a teenager to somewhat muscular but skinny fat, with poorly fitting clothes, bad posture, and awful haircuts, and finally to very lean and muscular with a chiseled V-shaped taper, better style, better fitting clothes, a proper haircut, and taller at 6 feet 2 inches. It took me about a year of consistent, strict dieting to reach this level. Although I had been working out for about 10 years, I never stuck to a diet, which left me skinny fat with some muscle. Self-esteem and confidence went through the roof once I had control and discipline over my diet and exercise routine. I get a lot of attention from women, and when I have conversations I receive prolonged eye contact and smiles. I have also noticed more respect from peers, and people give me the benefit of the doubt in workplace and social settings. Being strong and eating healthy feels incredibly good. I have constant energy and no issues with sleep. I would recommend it 10 out of 10. It has made my life significantly better in every way. Story 17. Holy moly, there is a difference. I have been fit most of my life, running marathons and doing triathlons. The number of compliments I got over that time was 0, aside from a few about my shirt and nothing about me specifically. After some injuries, I could not do as much cardio, so I shifted to more weight training. My shoulders are broader now, and my arms, shoulders, and back look much better. I have received so many compliments in the last 8 months. I am not a young man either. I am not exaggerating when I say I have gotten more compliments in the last few months than I had in my entire life combined. Obviously, people think I look better. The secondary benefit is that all my clothes look much better now. It is like a free wardrobe upgrade because everything fits, hangs, and looks better. I vaguely knew that upper body improvements would look good, but I wish I had known this years ago. I do not even work out that much more. I simply swapped a lot of cardio and some weights for a lot of weights and some cardio. Story 18. Other men treat you differently. There is more respect, or at least less disrespect. They are less likely to try to intimidate you. Going from a skinny kid who was bullied to being larger was a welcome change. As an adult, it is less useful because there is a lot less of that behavior. A consequence is a bit more confidence, but muscle does not make you a better fighter or protect you from a sucker punch, so it is mostly just a feeling. People look at you more while you work out, and sometimes copy you or ask questions. It is fine if you like the attention, but it can be uncomfortable if you catch them and you just want to focus. The world can feel a little less comfortable. Sitting in tight airplane seats is worse. Larger thighs mean less space between the legs, which can be uncomfortable without enough legroom. You are also more limited in what styles of clothes look good. Many clothes look clownish on a larger, muscular frame. I know that every man thinking about going to the gym is reading answers looking for someone who says he became 100 times more popular with women and now gets laid all the time, but the reality is that being bigger and more muscular is not the key to that. Being somewhat muscular but defined is much more useful in that way. Being an absolute unit only attracts women who prefer that type and draws more attention from other men who idolize the big bodybuilder look. Lean with some definition is where it is if you want more side glances from women. There comes a point where being too shredded is overboard for women who do not want the lifestyle and expectations that often come with someone who trains at that level. Story 19. It was such a gradual process over so many years that it is impossible to tell. When I was about 11 or 12, a girl at school put her hands around my upper arm and exclaimed how skinny it was. I bought a set of dumbbells shortly after. I do not know how tall I was by that point, but I reached my current height of 6 feet 1 by year 6, when I was about 12 or 13 while being very skinny, probably around 60 kilograms. Story 20. I was very skinny, 135 pounds at 5 feet 11 inches. I could see my ribs and felt insecure, so I decided to fix it when I was 19 years old. Now, 3 years later, I am still pretty lean at 155 pounds, but nearly all the weight I gained is muscle, and I have gained confidence. Becoming as fit as you can be will help your mental well-being. Story 21. I feel confident, which is translated to improvements in almost all aspects of life. I have less anxiety, am better socially, can converse better with strangers, and I feel comfortable being myself when many others may feel embarrassed. This did not require being ultra fit, although that is where I initially gained the confidence. People respect you for fitness and use you for motivation. This is my favorite because I love to be a positive role model. After my last competition, 6 friends wanted to try competing as well, so we are all preparing together for next year. You receive compliments often from men, and occasionally female strangers will also compliment you. You benefit from the halo effect, so others will treat you better and perceive you as more likable. This has been very helpful in my school, where many of our grades are based on subjective evaluations. I can attract women much more easily now. At this point, I can have multiple women in rotation, which I could never have done when I was younger. That said, a very muscular body can only help you so much. You need to be on your game in other areas as well, such as social skills, career, grooming, and personality. Story 22. Great to see many positive posts here, but I am going to state some of the negatives from going from 150 pounds and scrawny to 230 pounds and built. My body aches frequently. I became more insecure. The thing people do not tell you is that the day you start lifting, you will never feel big enough in your own eyes. I spend much more money on food and supplements. I cannot enjoy the foods I used to as much because I am more aware of what is in them. You get many compliments. This can be a negative when younger. The compliments often come from other gym goers and not from women as you might expect. As a 31-year-old who is married, I appreciate the compliments, but as a 21-year-old, I found it strange. You cannot find dress clothes that fit unless you spend a lot on custom tailoring. The body of the shirt may fit, but the neck and sleeves feel constricting. If you find one where the neck and sleeves fit, the rest of the shirt can drown you. Your free time is taken up by going to the gym. This is not necessarily bad, but if I had never started lifting, I would probably have been more productive in other areas. You get provoked more when you are out. For the most part, if you are built, people will not start trouble, but I have seen it happen more at bars where men with liquid courage want to challenge the big guy. I have had more issues like that being built than when I was small. Overall, the pros have outweighed the cons, and I do not regret prioritizing my fitness and body. Story 23. I think my confidence both increased and decreased. I got jacked and gained a lot of muscle, and I fell in love with the sport of bodybuilding, so now I constantly look in the mirror and critique my physique, what I need to work on and what needs more balance to create better flow. I take my shirt off and wear sleeveless shirts in places where I normally would not. I have also noticed that people who did not really talk to me in high school now act like my friend. Story 24. It helped me eat more and taught me to manage my time and be more consistent. Story 25. A massive confidence boost and a sense of purpose come from looking after yourself and putting good food into your body. It does wonders for your mental health. Story 26. I'm gay and I get hit on a lot more. That's fine, but being told you're huge, brah, isn't a great conversation starter. Also, you think I don't remember you ignoring me 5 years ago, but I do. Story 27. I went from 6 feet 1 inch and 145 pounds in college to about 200 pounds now, over roughly 6 years. There are a lot of differences, but most come from habit changes rather than physical changes. Satisfaction and the drive to improve my physical health and appearance have replaced many unhealthy urges, such as drug use, partying, and excessive gaming. I would argue it is easier to trick your brain into rewarding physical activity if you have a vice you want to move away from, but in general, just finding an activity that suits your body is very rewarding. Once you find it, a positive feedback loop can keep you in shape and motivated to maintain it. Getting there can be a struggle, But once you are there, it is a huge plus. You get better at structuring your life, which can lead to improvements in many areas. Confidence in your body seeps into other areas regularly. I find myself more willing to try sports and activities now because I feel I can move my body more deliberately. There used to be a disconnect between what my mind wanted to do and my confidence that my body could perform. My proprioception is much better now, and even if I think I will be bad at something or uncomfortable, I know that with time I can get better and succeed. At the same time, I accept that I am not very good at some things, and that is okay. I know my current limits, how I could improve different aspects, and can choose whether it is worth the effort. This applies to non-physical activities as well. Lower anxiety and general stress levels took a while to achieve but have had a lasting and powerful impact. I used to be a hypochondriac, constantly worrying about health issues that were either very minor or non-existent. It is a mental health issue, so it does not get cured suddenly, but improving fitness does help reduce those feelings and their frequency. I can tell myself that a concern may be valid, but to consider it in context and to remember that I am fit and healthy in other ways I am aware of. I used to sit in that fear until it boiled over, but now I have a fairly effective escape route from those thoughts. If it gets really bad, I usually go to the gym to work those thoughts out. I notice more romantic or sexual interest from others, but I believe much of that comes from a more confident demeanor. I am more willing to be friendly and have fun with people when I feel good in my body, and I believe confidence is one of the most attractive traits you can gain. Compliments feel great and never get stale. It is a wonderful and fulfilling feeling when someone else's perspective of you is wholly positive. It helps keep self-critical thoughts at bay. Things feel more grounded. Maybe this is partly the result of a fully formed frontal lobe, but it coincided with becoming more fit. When I was younger, I allowed emotions about certain topics, events, and responsibilities to trigger physical responses. Challenges felt more daunting because I experienced stronger physiological reactions to emotions. There is still a connection between emotions and the body, but I can now identify when my emotions are affecting my body or vice versa. I can compartmentalize better, which helps me make more rational and healthier decisions. Things feel a lot less serious now, in a calm, collected way rather than a despondent way. Overall, these have been some of the best changes in my life. I hope to keep them up for my own sake and would recommend healthy goal setting for anyone interested. Important note: it should never be forced on anyone. Do not let others tell you what to do with your body. There are many unhealthy motivations for people to try to change their appearance, and as a skinny kid I knew them well. Find an activity that suits you and enjoy it. Finding the right people to support and uplift you is important. Can be a team effort. Story 28. I went from fat to somewhat muscular. I still attract exactly no one, but at least some people are now admiring me. Story 29. It was great for about 6 months before I overshot my goal and ended up strong but overweight. Story 30. Girls are more attracted to me. I'm not huge, but I definitely got broader, which suits a tall frame much better than being lanky or skinny fat. Guys treat me a little differently as well. Overall, any major changes come from the boost in confidence and personality. Story 31. People act differently. Some women are definitely friendlier, and men tend to give you more respect. I probably get sick less often and recover faster as a byproduct of exercising and eating better. Strength has a strange effect. You perform tasks with ease that other people struggle with, and you will often be asked for help, even by strangers. A small percentage of people judge you more negatively at first appearance. They will assume you are arrogant or less intelligent. A surprising number of people will tell you what exercise and diet you should follow, despite not being in shape themselves. Story 32. The biggest thing is that people actually notice you, and other men stop showing off to you for being skinny. It is nice to take up some space. Story 33. I would say things became considerably different afterward. I did not intend to get buff. I worked at a grocery delivery company, like companies that ship to restaurants and grocery stores, not a food delivery service such as Uber Eats. Most of the boxes ranged from 30 to 70 pounds and had to be hand-carried to a designated storage area at each place. I was essentially exercising the right set of muscles for the job. Many of these places fed me mostly protein and some carbohydrates, and over time I bulked up. I never looked in the mirror. I just went to work and came home. One day, walking down a street lined with pubs, women were whistling and catcalling at me. My wife did not like all the attention I was getting, so now I have a son. Story 34. I joined the army in 2006 weighing 127 pounds. I am 36 years old, 6 foot 4 inches, and 215 pounds. I still see that small, skinny, nerdy kid when I look in the mirror. I remember how the guys in my unit treated me. Women never talked to me. I had to speak to them. I developed a strong personality because of that. Fast forward to now. I work security at a bar for fun. Guys are respectful and do not want problems with me. Women hit on me and ask for my Instagram constantly. I have been jokingly called the sexiest guard in the bar multiple times. Want to know a secret? I just want to go home and play video games like the nerdy kid I am. Story 35. I am 5 feet 5 inches. Before joining the military at 21 years old, I weighed 120 pounds and was about 14% body fat. Throughout school, I was bullied a lot. It destroyed my confidence and instilled an irrational fear that I was never safe. I am now 24 and I weigh 160 pounds with 15% body fat. I started training martial arts and went to therapy for a few reasons. People take me seriously when I speak. My presence carries weight now and I no longer feel scared in life. I am confident that I can handle difficult situations, especially if they become physical. Some women do not prefer men my height, but I have had good luck with the ones who do not mind. The main way my life has changed is through routine. I eat extremely clean now, so my mind is focused. That inner voice is not as negative or quiet anymore. I can think clearly and concisely. I set specific boundaries around my routine, and I will not let anything get in the way unless it is government mandated, such as duty days. I wake up, go to work, eat, go to the gym, train some mixed martial arts, eat, go home, and sleep. I do it all over again the next day. This has helped me feel that I am on a specific path, and the people who do not understand it are not meant to walk the path with me. I stay out of trouble, and when I want to go on dates, I plan something on a weekend when it will be okay to take a rest day. 5 feet 3 inches, 160 pounds, 15% body fat. Bench press, 235 pounds for 3 reps. Zercher squat, 245 pounds for 6 reps. Deadlift, 305 pounds for 3 reps. Those were my main personal records when I was focusing on strength and hypertrophy. I am working toward more endurance and explosive power now. Getting dialed in with my fitness has helped shape my life and my perspective on what makes life worth living. Story 36. I would say what others are saying, a confidence boost. Honestly, it feels nice that no one bothers you much. Laughing out loud. Story 37. I put on muscle and went up a whole size. I felt more confident and received more respect from people. I lost the weight because of health issues and now feel weak again. Story 38. All of a sudden, without changing anything else, it stopped being creepy when I flirted with women at a bar. Story 39. I've gone from skinny to a dad bod. The secret is a lot of coffee every morning before anyone gets up and a couple of cold beers every night after everyone is asleep. Maybe a turkey sandwich for lunch. The kids seem to like my stomach as a pillow for movie time. My wife seems indifferent because our sex life has stayed pretty constant, and I am laughing out loud. Story 40. It improved my confidence and made me feel that I am not inferior to anyone. People around me praise me and look to me for fitness advice. I feel that I look better and can try a wider variety of clothes without hesitation. If you are single, you can definitely turn some heads when you go out and socialize. Story 41. I was really skinny in high school and started lifting weights 5 or 6 days a week at 17 years old. I am 35 now and still lifting. Aside from compliments from other men and older women, I have no joint pain and am in much better shape than friends my age who are dealing with sore backs, knees, and hips. Lifting helped me gain confidence when I was lacking it, and it is great for my mental health. Story 42. The more pressing question is how you all manage to do that. I am skinny. When I work out, I get abs and a bit of muscle, and then I just look weird and unnatural, laughing out loud. Story 43. I am in the process. I was extremely skinny, but now I am becoming more muscular. All the guys at my college are always praising me. The only woman who complimented me was my mom when I went home on vacation. Story 44. It depends on the kind of person you want to attract. Many people are shy about approaching someone. If she looks at you several times, that can indicate she finds you attractive. A smile does not necessarily mean she wants sex, but it can be an opportunity to start a conversation. Begin by acknowledging her with a smile or a subtle hello if you see her often. That shows interest without pressure. Women need to feel safe and not expected to have sex right away. If you demand sex immediately, do not expect a relationship. Relationships are built on conversation, shared values, mutual respect, and common interests. You do not need a partner who loves everything you do, but it helps to have things you enjoy together. Good luck. I hope you find a compatible partner. Story 45. I went from skinny to bulked up right after college, and I noticed more things fell or broke when I bumped into them. I became more careful and aware when turning corners in stores or moving through crowds. Story 46. I went from 5 feet 9 inches and 130 pounds to between 160 and 170 pounds over a few years. Here is how it affected me. Confidence. This was the biggest change. I now see myself as athletic and physically capable in a way my skinny self never did. I feel strong and have the stamina to handle physical tasks. But consistently working out and seeing results also taught me that I have the perseverance to endure pain and discomfort to reach the rewards on the other side. It was a major mindset shift. Women and dating. People expect this to dramatically change when you add a lot of muscle, but that is not usually the case. Becoming muscular made me look more physically attractive, but it did not flood me with dating prospects. It can give you extra confidence when approaching women, but if you do not know how to talk to people or treat them well, the muscle alone will not change that. The partners I have had since putting on muscle appreciated my fitness, but the partners I had before were not vocal about wishing I were bigger or more athletic. Generally, women are not as superficial as we imagine, and we often project what we think women want. If you want to go out with more people, focus on being funny and charming. If you want a relationship, learn how to make someone feel loved and appreciated, and you will be ahead of 98% of men in the dating pool. Appearance and looks. This is where the most visible changes are. Clothes almost always fit better, whether they are baggy or tight. My facial features became more defined. My hands and forearms became more vascular. I get more compliments on how I look even when I am a little unkempt. The same outfit that did not get compliments a few years ago usually does now. Health. Working out has done wonders for my physical and mental health. I used to struggle with significant depression and anxiety. Exercise did not solve those issues, but it provided an outlet so they were no longer debilitating, and I could put energy into addressing those problems. This will not have the same effect on everyone, but it may help. I know people who started exercising because they were out of shape and depressed and who are now in shape and still depressed. Being fit will not automatically make you happy, but it may make it easier to reach happiness by giving you clarity to deal with the parts of your life that are not serving you. Exercise also made my sleep much more restful and peaceful. I used to have a hard time falling asleep because of anxiety and an overactive mind. When a workout depletes the energy you would otherwise spend thinking or scrolling on your phone, it becomes easier to fall asleep. I would end my days so tired that even if I started doom scrolling in bed, I would pass out and wake up fully rested. Exercise also fixed my posture, which I think did more for my attractiveness than the muscle gains themselves. Perspective. It helped me understand that goals are not achieved overnight. I was working out for years before I felt I saw significant results. Those kinds of changes take years, and developing the discipline and routine for them takes time. Also understand that time to exercise is a luxury for many people, and if you have that time now, capitalize on it. School might take up a lot of your time, but do not assume you will suddenly have more time after school when you have a job. Life often gets harder. Imagine trying to create these routines with a job, a partner, a child, or an injury later in life. Any number of things can happen, so the best day to start is now. This perspective applies to other areas too, like learning a new skill, traveling to new places, improving how you dress, or overcoming fears and insecurities. There is no better time to start than now while you still can. Story 47. A bully on the beach kept kicking sand on me and taunted that I looked so skinny I might dry up and blow away. I was sick and tired of being a scarecrow, so I sent a stamp for a bodybuilding book. In no time, I built the physique I became known for. I walked up to the bully and knocked him out, earning the title Hero of the Beach. Thanks, Charles Atlas. Story 48. I can lift more things than I could before. Story 49. Over 11 years, I increased from 59 kilograms, 130 pounds, to 106 kilograms, 234 pounds. I am 185 centimeters tall, 6 feet 1 inch. I cannot describe how much it affected my life. 99% of the time it was positive. Beyond the respect and admiration from society, colleagues, and other men, dating became much easier. For years, I could invite women to my place for a first date and sometimes arrange threesomes or foursomes. This comes from someone who had a 5-year dry spell. Changed my life. It is the best thing I have ever done and feels like having superpowers. It affects social interactions and job opportunities. I feel safer because other men treat me with much more respect, sometimes out of fear. I have never thrown a punch in my life. Disclaimer. On this journey, you will receive negative comments, often from relatives who say you look too big. Some women may say they are not into muscular men. Do not listen. Ignore them. The first case is often a crab-in-a-bucket mentality. As for the women, pay attention to actions, not words. I have lost count of the women who said they were not into muscular men but became obsessed and engaged in intimate behavior, even licking my armpits. The way they admire and touch you when you are muscular is unlike anything else, and men who achieve this will understand the feeling. Story 50. I was 5 feet 9 inches and weighed 115 pounds until age 17. I was bullied, ridiculed, and treated terribly. At age 30, I am 5 feet 11 inches and weigh 185 pounds. Reasonably lean and, in layman's terms, jacked. Along the way, I took up mixed martial arts and started testosterone replacement therapy. The difference is night and day. People do not dare poke fun at me, and no one believes me when I tell them where I started. I am treated with respect and decency, especially by women. This journey taught me that the idea that being a good person alone determines how you are treated is horseshit. I am the same douchebag I have always been, and I used to be gaslighted into thinking mistreatment was about being socially awkward. We would like to tell our kids that it does not matter if you are physically fit, but the sad truth is that society treats you based more on your appearance than anything else. Story 51. I am a little late to this post, but I have a lot of first-hand experience with this. So here goes. I went from about 160 pounds, skinny but fit, to over 185 pounds, mostly muscle. I am 5 feet 10 inches, and I was 30 years old when I did this. Took me about 6 months. I broke up with my ex, had free time, and was depressed, so I started lifting by myself or with friends. I lifted almost every day and loved the routine. Changed my life. Important to note, I was already conventionally attractive. But there is a difference between being a cute guy and a jacked Adonis. A skinny, attractive man can encourage a level of resentment, but if you are also jacked, people think you earned it. People respected me. Strangers were friendly. People made polite and flirtatious jokes and smiled at me all the time. I became a character who was more relatable and likable because everyone I interacted with saw me as this muscular, blonde, He-Man-esque cartoon, and I enjoyed wearing that mask. It was comfortable. Random bouncers, bartenders, doormen, and repairmen would start talking to me in a friendly way. They wanted my fitness advice and my approval. Giving them that felt nice, just playing that role. I could be as gentle, patient, and kind as I wanted. People always assumed my masculinity and confidence. I never had to prove anything to anyone. The average person automatically has some level of respect for you because they know maintaining that level of fitness and muscle takes hard work and dedication. People assume you are responsible and disciplined just by looking at you. Strangers are more likely to assume you have good intentions. All the jokes are true. Other men are the main people complimenting you and engaging with you about your body, and that feels great. It is nice to be appreciated. But do not be deceived, women notice it. They see your forearm muscles and your shoulders and they think about it. They know their roommate would not judge them for sleeping with you, and their mother would probably be proud to see a picture. It is a little unnerving how consistent this is. Anyway, I highly recommend getting muscular. It can change your life, and at the very least, it is a novel and interesting experience. Story 52. I gained weight from 116 pounds at 16 to 195 pounds by age 24, while remaining completely lean at 5 feet 9 inches. That transformation gave me a lot in life, but what I appreciated most was that it was the most difficult thing I accomplished in my young adulthood, and I used it as a springboard for success elsewhere. Some of the most fun things I did in my early 20s resulted from that fitness journey, including working as a male stripper. Now I am turning 30 in a few months, and I see how drastic the gap is between fit people and unfit people, a gap that only widens with age. Many of my peers complain about aches and pains that I do not have. Many have become significantly heavier and their skin looks poor from diet and lack of exercise, while I look relatively the same as I did at 24 or 25. Story 53. I still feel ugly, but at least I am not skinny. 190 centimeters tall, 91.5 kilograms, 11% body fat. Story 54. More is expected of me. Being married and faithful, I must respectfully decline advances from people of any gender. No complaints. I am just answering honestly. Story 55. I became a sexual tyrannosaur and roared. Story 56. When I was about 23, I was extremely skinny. I weighed 65 kilograms and was 6'4". I was really thin because of some bad habits. Eventually my friends made fun of me, pointing out that I could not get laid because I was such a twig. I sulked and got angry. Then I realized they were probably right. I asked one friend, a real gym rat, what to do. He said, "Come to the gym with me. Knock off the booze, the drugs, and all the rest. Work out for a year solid and see what happens." So I did. Once I fixed my nutrition and lifting, the muscle piled on and my mental health improved too. I spent 18 months going from 65 kilograms to about 95 kilograms, and my body fat was pretty low. Then we did what we agreed. I got a tan, some new clothes, a haircut, and went to bars and clubs. You know that old saying that women go for personality and men go for looks? That is nonsense. Women walked up to me and asked for sex. They wrote their numbers on my abs and stuffed them into my underwear. Married women begged me for sex, saying their husbands would never find out. A woman in a club walked up to me, pointed at my crotch and said, "I want that." I was a slightly bookish, shy, artistic 6'4" man-child. You can guess how that went. On dating apps, I got 20 to 50 matches a day. Women offered to leave their boyfriends for me. I was offered threesomes, money for sex, you name it. Could not last and eventually went wrong, really wrong. But I got firsthand experience that women rate 80% of men as ugly and believe without question that they are all entitled to one of the top 5%. It was insane. Story 57. I did not go from skinny to extremely muscular, but I went from skinny to very fit when I started training Muay Thai years ago. The change from being skinny and out of shape to being in fight shape with six-pack abdominal muscles and almost no body fat is incredible. First, you feel healthier and more capable. Second, you gain significant self-confidence. This may result more from fight training than from fitness alone. Knowing that I look good, can defend myself, and could physically overpower about 99% of the population in an altercation is a huge confidence boost. Before I was in a relationship, this also helped me meet dates and talk to women in college. Third, men tend to care more about muscles than women do. Although confidence helps in dating, the muscles themselves rarely drew comments from women in my experience. I never had a woman mention my abdominal muscles or my large deltoid muscles, but I distinctly remember my girlfriend's brother telling me he liked my calf muscle definition. Story 58. I find it hilarious how the majority of people who answer this question tend to be more than 6 feet tall. Story 59. I am not big or muscular, but I have gained some weight after being very skinny. Now that I am older, people treat me with more respect and start conversations with me more often, which can be annoying when I want to walk alone or sit in a park. People also seem to touch me more often. I like hugs, so I do not mind. Story 60. I was never really muscular, but I played a lot of sports and stayed in shape. I would get hit on by women at clubs and by men a few times. I always politely turned them down. Once a coworker punched a man who had approached him at a house party. That was the last time I hung out with him. Story 61. I used to never get compliments, but now I sometimes receive them. It is nice. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.